Hello Team FD and welcome back to Unfiltered. You know the rates by now. We traverse the timeline to get you all the backstories behind your favourite images. Today, thanks to Puma and DW Sport powered by Intersport, we're joined by Maddison. It's James Maddison. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
No
I know it's been a long day. He's looking divine in the new kit. Let's just jump straight in, all right? First image is from your days at Coventry.
Yep.
You tweeted it not long ago. I want to ask you, how much did it mean breaking through at the club you were at as a boy? Was it that little bit more special?
Yeah, it's always special when it's like your hometown club. Obviously, I grew up in Coventry. I lived 5 minutes away from where we are now, growing up. So it was always special. Every time I wore the Coventry shirt, I was so proud, and I know I was doing my family proud. So they were always special moments, yeah.
Excellent, man. And there's some other Premier League players in here. John Fleck, Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that fill your pride? Callum Wilson being from Coventry as well, seeing some local boys representing?
Yeah, well, obviously, me and Callum have been in a couple of England squads together now, and I remember not long ago we were having a chat about it at England on international duty, saying, like, look at where we are now and this kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm really proud of him as well, because obviously he came and played and scored in his debut for England and stuff, and he's doing fantastically well in the Premier League. So it's great to see, yeah.
One man who's proud of you is Stephen Presley, the manager who was there when you broke through. Is it true that you made you wash his car?
Yeah. We had a hydration test in the morning where basically you just have to go and wee in a pot just to make sure like you're taking on enough fluids and that. And I think I did mine a few minutes late than what time it had to be down in your slot or something. Ooh. And I thought the punishment was a bit harsh, to be honest, but looking back it was all a learning curve. And I actually texted him the other day because it was 6 years to the day that he first put me in the squad as a 16-year-old, and just to say like how grateful I was for the chance that he gave me, and he sent a nice message back asking after the family, so we had a great relationship, yeah. Let's
go to the next image then, which wasn't on your timeline, but I dug it out specifically, okay? Because one of my personal favourites is the free kick against Rangers. So, I mean, as a Celtic fan, I was delighted, but I wanted to ask you, how productive was your time in Scotland in your formative years, learning your trade?
Yeah, well, I get asked about that a lot, to be honest, how that benefited my career, and I can't speak highly enough of my time at Aberdeen, to be honest. And Derek McInnes, the manager, obviously took a chance on me because there was a few League One teams who wanted to be on loan and stuff. But I think going to Scotland and speaking to him before I went, when I wasn't getting game time at Norwich, and he made me feel wanted, and he wanted me and he was after me. So I went there, and honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made for my career because I learned so much about the game and about myself by going there. Because obviously, my first time living away from home at the age of 18, 19 was quite a big thing, and I learned so much about myself. It's such a tough league, Scotland. I think you all obviously know that, being a Celtic supporter. It's very, some big tackles flying in on me. I was almost like
literally the GBH every week. Yeah.
Get assaulted, you get arrested for some of the tackles that are there in Coventry. But yeah, it was great for me, you know, playing against teams on rough pitches and players that are just trying to smash you. And it was great for me, and I learned so much about myself, as I said, and it toughened me up, and I went back to Norwich definitely a better player.
Yeah, it's nice to see, you know, technically minded players in the league, but don't tend to stick around. Anyway, let's move on to Norwich. Here you are winning 4 Player of the Months on the bounce. Congratulations. So, I mean, that's a little bit in the past now, isn't it? So, sure, it's not exactly fresh in the memory, but you struggled originally to get in the side until Daniel Farke arrived. So, Alex McNeil kind of kept you out. Yeah. What was it about the big German arriving that sort of unleashed your full potential?
He just put that faith in me. I felt like the trust, I got trust off him, you know, and obviously he came in pre-season, everyone's on a fresh slate, you know what I mean? Everyone starts from zero, and obviously I felt like I performed well in pre-season, and I got in the eye of him, because we had big players in my position. We had Stephen Naismith, Wes Hoolahan, Alex Pritchard, who we bought for a lot of money, so I had to perform well in the pre-season games, and I did. And do you know what? He threw me in at the deep end. First championship game, started me in centre midfield away at Fulham, and I didn't look back after that. I just kicked on, and I think I played for club and country. That's in 53 games or something. So played almost all the minutes. And had a very productive season and got a move to the Premier League off the back of that. So I think I owe Daniel Farke and Stuart Webber, the sporting director, a lot of credit for that, because they believed in me and they put the trust in me to go and do the business on the pitch, and I didn't let them down. So
Nice. What is it about his methods that enabled the club to really turn around their fortunes?
Well, they're in the Premier League now, and if you look at their team, it's almost like if you're good enough, you're old enough, you know, because you look at the back four playing in the Premier League, and you've got Max Aaron, Jamal Lewis, Ben Godfrey, all 19, 20 years old. when obviously in defence in the Premier League, it's one of the most important positions. And you look at the other teams around them who will be fighting for the same sort of places. They've got experience, players who have played in the Premier League their whole career. And Daniel Farke's there trusting 19, 20-year-old young lads with no Premier League experience at all. And they've done really well so far. So I think he's had a lot of credit for that, and I can't speak highly enough of him, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you tweeting Todd Cantwell, was it, after the performance against Liverpool?
Yeah.
Sort of a player in your mould, I suppose, highly technical, can play out wide and coming in. So, like you said, he's kind of,
Exactly.
he's very consistent with his trust of the youth. Segueing now into slightly older players. We've got one here, Big Wes, when he went through that purple patch of goal scoring. You've called him Bagsman captain here. I think in many ways, you and Wes pictured here represent the two different sort of generations that are coming through at Leicester, because the certain areas of the team are very young. How much have you learned from players like Wes, and how good is it right now being at Leicester as a young player?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think I always say we've got a great balance, like you said, amongst the squad, because we've got a lot of young lads who are talented players who are almost at the start of their journey, trying to kick on and get on to big things. And you've got the lads like Wes, Vards and Casper who bring that experience. They know exactly what Leicester's about, won the Premier League. You know, so you're learning every day as a young player, and players like Wes, who is an outstanding captain, one of the best I've had, if not the best, because he's a brilliant lad as well as a solid captain. And if you get that balance right, you get players that will listen to you and take on your advice, and that's what you want as a captain. So yeah, it's brilliant being at Leicester, and I'm thoroughly enjoying my time there, yeah.
Yeah, well, you licking your lips when Brendan Rodgers arrived. Obviously, I was fuming. He left Celtic a little bit prematurely, in my opinion, but what a manager to have if you're an attack-minded player.
Yeah, well, obviously Leicester's a massive club, so when he came in, I was obviously very happy, because his CV speaks for itself. You know, he's worked with top-class players, world-class players, in fact, and got the best out of them. I think his time at Liverpool typifies that, and I always say, since he's come in, what was it, nearly a year ago now, maybe, a few months off, but I've learned so much about the game, and in a tactical sense of positioning. I can play a few different positions now and stuff, and he's definitely improved my game, and he's always there to speak about off the field stuff as well, and he's a great guy as well as a great manager. So yeah, we're doing really well at the minute, so long may that continue.
Yeah, I mean, talking of doing really well, the next photo is with the man Ndidi. Trying to pull him into the photo, it seems. I think you were saying, like, just stop tackling people.
Yeah, I said,
right?
well,
just
stop tackling people and come and have a photo with me.
To get a photo. Lovely shades, by the way, pair of you, rocking them. Do you think he's one of the most underrated players in the Premier League? Like, how much confidence does it give you with him playing behind you, just mopping up everything?
I think he's the best in the Premier League at tackling and winning the ball back, bar none, to be honest. I mean, I know like Kante's a brilliant player, and there's players like that who are all, but actually winning the ball back and taking the ball off the opposition, I don't think there's anyone better than Wilfred, because I think he topped the stats of most tackles made and most regains of possession last year. He was at the very top, #1, I think. But and like sometimes you get a player like that, and what he does doesn't get on the back page of the papers. It doesn't get maybe talked about on Match of the Day, for example. But us as teammates and players who play against him realise what a top player he is, and he's fantastic at what he does, and he lets players like myself and Youri Tielemans do our thing high up the pitch, because we know we've got that solidarity behind us. So he's a great player. Yeah,
absolutely. What a beast. And you mentioned Youri Tielemans. The next post is about him. You tweeted this out. I think the one before was talking about holding on to him until he signed a permanent deal. Obviously that's happened. He's arrived from Monaco, and you two seem to have a really intuitive relationship. So what is it about one another's skill sets that's so simpatico? Why are you so successful together?
I think, like, obviously when Youri first came in, he was a lovely guy to start with. Like, I think he was welcomed by the group really well and stuff, and we just spoke the language of football, you know, like on the training pitch, and we were on the same wavelength. And I noticed straight away, you watch Youri for 5 minutes and you know he's a good player. You can tell with his technique, the way he addresses the ball, the way he gets about the pitch, his pass range, everything about him. He's a top midfield player, and we just clicked on the training pitch, and you know, we pick up similar positions, so we always try and find each other and stuff. And yeah, he's in good form, and I hope that's always a good thing for Leicester City, yeah. Yeah,
you say you saw elements of yourself in him. Why are you so technically minded? Where did that come from?
It's because when I was younger, I was smaller and less physically developed than everyone else. So when I was going through the stages of 11 to 15 maybe, my
I'm still going through those stages, by the way. So.
my development was a lot slower than everyone else's.
Yeah.
Because so playing against lads my age who were a lot bigger, a lot musclier than me, and so I had to rely on my technical ability. I had to practice extra on the training pitch at my first touch and my receiving, because if I didn't, I would have probably fell off and got lost in the system like many do in academies. So I had to make sure, and like where we are today at the Alan Higgs, that's where I learnt my trade, you know, under the watchful eye of Greg Rioch and Richard Stevens at the CCFC Academy. So that's where I learnt my trade, and that's why I had to be so technical, just to stay getting game time and stay in the academy system, yeah.
And you had that realisation from that young age. You were like, I need to do these things. No one had to tell you to do it, was it?
Yeah, and obviously I could see I was smaller than the rest, and I knew that. And like I said, the likes of Richard Stevens, who's the academy manager here for my whole time, he made that aware of me, and obviously still stuck with me, and just obviously because I was developed late and stuff, but they still showed that faith in my ability to let me continue through the academy, even though I was smaller than the rest. And eventually you do catch up, and that's what I'd say to any young player who's maybe told he's too small or too weak or whatever at an early age. You do catch up eventually, because everyone evens out. It might, some are later than others and some are earlier than others, but you do catch up, so stick with it.
Yeah, wise words. On the subject of technique or being a technical player, the next post, there's a few photos in this. It's a tweet post that result against Manchester City where Vincent Kompany scored an absolute thunderbolt. How does it feel to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City for 90 minutes, only for something like that to happen?
I thought we were excellent in the game, and obviously there was so much talk around the game because it was Man City, Liverpool, who's going to slip up, and they'd both won something ridiculous, like 8 games in a row, like both challenging for the title, 1 point apart. And we knew we had Man City with 2 games to go, so we thought, you know what, we can go and cause an upset in the league here, and everyone will be talking about Leicester City, so that was our incentive. And we played out from the back, we showed spirit, we showed bravery, we were excellent. And when Vincent Kompany, like I said here, when Vincent Kompany goes and sticks one in the top corner like that, you know it's probably going to be Man City's season. So, but yeah, what a season, and fair play to Man City, because they did everything they could and they just outpicked Liverpool.
Yeah, what's Pep saying in number 4? Just unlucky lad.
Yeah, unlucky lad, yeah.
Stick with it. Nothing more sinister, all right. Right, next photos with Ben Chilwell, who seems to be a busy, to be perfectly honest. Both looking extremely sharp here. What was the occasion? Why are you suited and booted? Because that's a rarity on the timeline, I've noticed.
Yeah, first game of the season last year.
Okay.
So obviously we got our suits fitted and that, and I think, to be honest, we were just feeling ourselves a little bit. You know, when you get suited and booted, you're having yourself a little bit, looking in the mirror. So we said, should we get a quick pick before we go to the game? And yeah, that's it. Not really in it.
Why'd you get on so well with him?
We're just like, he's just a funny guy, you know. He makes me laugh all the time, and we met at England, younger age groups, under 21s in the early stages of that. He's just a top guy when I first met him and stuff, and then obviously I signed for Leicester. I spoke to him before I went and stuff because we knew each other quite well. We'd been on holiday and that. He's a good friend of mine.
Let's go to the last photo now. It is you and your man Callum Wilson. So we hinted at this earlier, but and I've seen you say in previous interviews that getting that England call-up has been the pinnacle of your career. So ideally speaking, what would the next 2 or 3 years of your career look like?
But like I said earlier, I try and keep my targets short term, because if you have long term targets, like you said, 2 or 3 years, you can get derailed from that. So if I have a target of 3 years time, football's like a roller coaster, you know, you have ups and downs, and you don't want to have that long term target where you, like I said earlier, if I said I want to score this amount of goals in 3 years or whatever, and then I'll go for a patch where I don't score but I'm playing well, then I start making the wrong decisions of shooting when I should pass and stuff like that. So
pressure on yourself.
You don't need to do that, and I don't think that's the case. So
so the mentality is to take it kind of game by
short
game,
term. And talking about England, my aim is to keep my place on the squad, play well for Leicester, and that will take care of itself, and ultimately get game time for my country, because that's the dream. Like I always say, the pinnacle is the word I use, because there isn't a greater feeling than getting the call up for your country, because that's, as a young boy, I grew up getting Rooney, Beckham, Gerrard on my back, you know. So when I'm there myself, sometimes it's almost pinch yourself moments, because I've been called up for my country, and that is the pinnacle. So yeah, hopefully I can keep continuing.
Do you remember the phone call?
Yeah, I remember it, never forget it.
Yeah, did you think someone was, I mean, a lot of the time when we interview footballers, they're like, you know, I thought it was someone messing around, but I'm guessing given your form, you created 100 chances in the Premier League last season, you were kind of like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and obviously I knew there was a few injuries as well in my position, which obviously helped for the first one, but as soon as I got off the phone, I FaceTimed mum and dad, told them straight away, and yeah, Mum started crying, bless her. But like I said, moments like that, pinch yourself moments that you should never forget.
That's all we've got time for. Massive thanks to James for turning out and taking us through those photos. A big shout out to Puma and DW Fitness First, powered by Intersport, for making all of this happen. Go and check out the Future Flashback. That's it. Done. Finito. Let's get out of here, James.